Okay, Mr. Goodman, again, my name is John Paris, and I appreciate you coming and joining us this morning for our interview process. We at the Asian American Group have been in existence for about 20 years. Mike Vaswani has been our president for the last decade or so. For the last 6 years, we've been doing panel-style interviews prior to releasing endorsements for various political and judicial races. What we're doing this weekend is interviewing all of the individuals for these races. We'll be doing some makeup interviews over the next few weeks as well. We plan on releasing our endorsements in approximately 3 weeks, probably sometime around mid to late September. In addition to releasing that information, we'll also be taking out ad space in some Asian newspapers, listing the individuals who we're endorsing for each race. As well, we'll be having a luncheon on October 18th, which is the first day of early voting, as you're aware, at Harbor Palace. It's a restaurant just up the road here in the main Chinatown area. We'll be having a luncheon, free lunch. We'll be giving out our slate cards regarding our endorsements, and we will be encouraging people to go vote 100 feet or so down the road, because within the Chinatown complex itself is an early voting station. So we do try and get people's name out there when we do endorse them. Now, regarding your candidacy, with all due respect, you certainly have quite the road to hoe. What plans do you have to get your army to the polls come this October and November to overcome what admittedly is a rather popular incumbent?
Well, thank you very much for letting me be here. Appreciate it. As the good senator said in the beginning, they were looking for Robert Redford at 40. They got Goodman at 80. No big deal. I'm in to win. The reason I got in was to put a horse in the race. We got to bring democracy. You have to have a vote. What we've done now, and the Democrats have went out and chose not to have a candidate for the governor. To me, that's taken away your biggest thing we have. That's the right to vote, and we've lost that. Now I put myself in where we can vote. Now my job is, of course, unbelievably tough. Finally, Senator Reid said yesterday that I spent too much time in China, so that's finally going to help everybody here in the Asian group. I've been saying that for 25 years. I've known this young man for 20 years. I've been in China most of the time. But while I'm in China, I'm promoting Las Vegas, Nevada, Reno, Nevada. I've been doing that for 40 years. It really doesn't matter if I win or lose. It's a matter of getting into the game, into the race, and hoping that it's so simple. If Democrats vote, every Democrat goes out and votes, I'll win. We have 60,000 more Democrats. If nobody votes, I lose. So even on my card, it's up to you. It's not up to me. No matter what I do, is not going to generate any big thing. A good governor has got $6 million or $3 million to fight me. I've got a couple $100. Who cares what she's going to say? It wastes the money. So that's my goal, is to push internet, the same old thing, talk to people, come out to meetings like this. Hope I'll get a vote here, hope I'll get a vote there. As the underdog, I've got a pretty good chance. It's unbelievable. With doing nothing, I'm only 20 points below him, which I can't even believe that myself. I don't really believe those figures, but that's what they're posting. The newspaper people like me after they beat me up so bad for I'm second to none, and now I'm out there running.
Well, the much vaunted none of these candidates is somewhat near and dear to my heart personally, but that's a whole nother discussion. Assuming that you are elected to governor, what changes do you want to see occur in Carson City?
Well, I'd see changes occur that haven't been occurring for almost 30 years. The governors of all the governors, from O'Callahan has been the only good governor in my mind. That's who I work for. Maybe I'm prejudiced, but the last 10 governors or whatever they've been have never done anything except get elected governor, go to Carson City, and they have a book in Carson City that says what to do to be a governor. There's been no creativity. There's been nothing. So my idea is the first thing I do is come to organizations like you, Asian organizations, and make you diplomats and make you members of the staff of the governor's office of Nevada to be representing, be out selling, be out making representation. For God's sake, all of you folks in the Asian community here know people everywhere, but no one's ever went to you and said, help me out. Nevada needs help. We need to be brought back to #1. We're the last on almost everything now. When we left, in the 80s, we were top of the market. Why are we down? So we do an awful lot of soul searching, a lot of evaluation, using retired people to look at waste in government. Big thing, big waste. We'd look at where we're going in the next 10 years. How we're going to get there. We need to look at a whole new program in Asia, in the Asian market, where the new casinos are coming. This thing from Malaysia, that's 3,500. They're going to need a lot of people, and they're going to need training. We're going to need something for the school teachers, education. Somebody asked me yesterday why the teachers are leaving. I think the teachers are leaving because they don't treat it good when they get here. There's no big program for teachers to make them feel good. So I would work on education, transportation, tourism, of course, innovate and look at new programs that wouldn't cost money but would lower the budget. We're way over budget on everything.
Your biography demonstrates that you have, and your own statements, that you have very strong ties to Asia. You have very strong ties to Asia, both personally and economically. Why do you think that in the past Nevada as a state has neglected many economic opportunities abroad, not necessarily specifically in China or in Asia, but just in general?
Well, I'm very, very familiar with that because I've been pushing that ever since I left the governor's office. The lieutenant governor, the lady Lieutenant Hunt, I told her about China. I had 20 offices in 1995. I had 20 locations in China that were going to be given to the state of Nevada free for a 5-year period. As every one of you know in this room that are Asian people know that if you're a government official or a mayor or a city or elected official, you're pretty important in China. I was the economic development director appointed by the governor, so I was accepted very, very quickly. But I also then went out and pushed Congress to help them get the most favored nation. We worked on the Olympics. So I built a bridge between China and America and a state government called Sino-American Trade Development Association. We built a bridge that showed that I cared, showed that I was important. So as I come back each time to the state, each state has its own independent, each governor has its own choice. The people who get the governor elected, they get appointed to the economic development or the tourism office or some appointment. They hire somebody from out of state to run their office. No one would listen to me. That's one reason I went to China. I didn't have a job before I left here. Nowadays, everybody gets the job before they leave. I was smart enough to know when you're in state government, you're supposed to get the job before you leave, not wait. So that's what happened. Nobody listened. They're not listening today. The governor today, the oldest, probably the only one or two people old enough to remember the lady from the Secretary of State in California, Marge Fong. She gave a certificate out in China 25 years ago that hung on a wall as an honorary Californian. Those are in some of the best offices in China. They're in the richest people in China's office right today, right along the diploma from Harvard or Yale or Stanford. We've been trying to get the state to do that for 30 years. Make an honorary citizen. This governor, these governors have said, well, you don't know, you might pick the wrong one. Might be a terrorist. What do we care? Do something.
Yeah, right. I'm not aware of there being any terrorists in China. For the record. I hadn't read that anywhere.
Great promotion.
And I'm sorry, I have been monopolizing many of the questions so far today. I'm happy to let someone else jump in.
Only have a comment. Because you mentioned about the teacher that won't stay because we don't have program. But in reality, because my wife became a substitute teacher, or say teacher A in the high school. the foreign teacher that come into our state, our public school system to teach, they get fed up with the kids in less than a year. They don't want to stay.
Yeah.
That's because our kids here has got no manner, and they'll terrorize them.
Yeah.
So the teacher now is coming really afraid, and they want to go. They go, you know what, I can't stand for a second year. That's how it is. So the thing is, all the parents ought to know, is your kid, are they respectful outside? Do they respect themselves outside? I think that is the biggest education problem that we have. You know, if my kid don't act well, don't respect themselves well, he deserves to get kicked around, beat around by the people outside.
That's exactly right. You're exactly right. And the program that I'd try to implement would be then this volunteer situation. Either is out in Henderson and Boulder City, and there's a lot of rich retired people that have come here and nothing to do in 5 or 10 or 20 years they've been around. Try to build a bridge of volunteers to help these darn kids and to bring back respect. Of course, you folks in the Asian community are the best there is. If you would volunteer and get involved, because you're a perfect example of what kids should be. You tend to business with them. You take care. You know what they are. They're good kids. They come out good. How much time you would have to help do this? But that's basically my main arch of or umbrella that I'd like to work off of, is use the smarter and the better people to help the others that aren't. We got a pretty big problem here of people just drifting in and drifting out, and we don't have a good base, and we better start looking at that, because if we don't, we're going to get worse and worse. You know, we're number 2 now, worst school in the nation. You know, now we got we can't get much lower than number 0. We got to start thinking. But all we get is lip service from everybody, because it's a problem. They don't want to solve it. It's difficult. And it hurts the next election. Biggest thing, that hurts their political future. And of course, I have no political future, so I can make a lot of noise. There's absolutely no political future left for me, I think, at this point.
It matters. It matters.
Yeah. But
Well, like you said, drawing attention to these issues is tantamount to winning, quite candidly.
do what?
Drawing attention to these issues, like trade abroad with China or other Asian countries, or maybe getting some change with respect to the educational system, that is a victory in and of itself.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm very happy. I was on the airplane going back to China that's the reason I disappeared for the month, that nobody could find me. I was already gone. I didn't know I won. I didn't even think I would win. I did nothing to win. But I was lucky to have Oscar's name, and so the Goodman name is Oscar. But it's my name first. I'm older, so he can't claim it, but it's really his good self. But I'm telling you that quietly here. I want you to share with him, because I treat you as friends. And the Asian people are my friends, much because the thing about Asian people and it's something we can guide our government on, is that your word is good. You tell us if you like us. If you don't like us, you say you're not going to help us. If you want to help a little bit, you help a little bit. If you want to give everything you want to do, you're there. And so that's what we need from people. We need a commitment to, are you going to help or not?
Bernie, Freddie, any questions from my left-hand side?
Well, Mr. Goodman or Bob, you said that you've been to Asia for so many times because of business transaction or business dealings. Now, you just said a while ago that whether win or lose, it really doesn't matter to you. But most Asians here really are concerned about, are interested about trades and businesses and all that. Assuming that you win, of course, you're going to help us out as far as Asians are concerned about the business trade between Asia and Nevada. Now, let me ask you this thing. what if you lose the election? Are you going to help us out, especially the Asians, about the trade that will be affected?
If I lose and lose?
Yes.
Oh,
Are you going to
absolutely.
be around as a citizen of Nevada helping the Asians, since you are always in Asia, building the relationship between the Asian people and...
Frankly, you're the Asian group at my age and what I'm doing is the only group I can work with. If I lose, I'm going to go back to China. I've got some new ideas from here. As you all know, by me running for the governor helps me in Asia tremendously. Just the running. I probably have $10 million sitting in donations in Asia, but I can't take a dime because they want to help me, but I can't take a dime. But when I leave, and if I have to use if I lose, I'll go back there. And I want to call in groups like yourself, because that's been my big failure. My big failure has been not having the right group in Nevada to help me out for 25 years. I've never had a good organization to support what I'm saying. Robert Young, I've met him 4 or 5 times in China. And absolutely, frankly, not helpful at all to me and for himself. If at this point I'm not selfish, because again, I don't care. Let's just make some money. Let's get something done, and we got so much to offer. Every one of these conventions that come to town should be watched by a government, from a state office to meet with the convention guys. If I lose and come back, that's the first program. I'm going to try to push the governor or the lieutenant governor or something. Let's have a program that we meet these people. But I'll have enough credibility with China to make a very good program. Absolutely. And I've been probably, if I made the biggest mistake I probably made in all these years is not coming back and spending more time with groups like yourself. I've known this young man for years, but you don't think when you're got 2 or 3 days at a time here and you're going back to China, let's sit down and talk business. This time I've spent 6 months, so I've got to meet people. I got to see now I know who's real and who isn't. Not too many real people, frankly.
Present company excluded, of course. Not us, of course, but other people who aren't real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
interesting.
Comment. Few years ago, just maybe 2-3 years ago, a very well-known magazine publishing company that is in town, the CEO that told me, Las Vegas have got no culture. Okay?
Yeah.
Desert, we're just all about money here. Or if anyone that agree, well, that's that. But I totally disagree, because the culture come within, not what's out there. Now, we are working on the project, me and Mike, we're working on the project. It's called Asia Culture Center. Okay? Economics is in there, but we're going to be inviting 50 countries, all Asian countries, to bring their history here. So that is under one roof. If anybody hear this, it's great, And will you just said about China, will you help on the project? It's going to be a huge one. 50 country, every Asia country will want to participate.
Yeah. No, I'm very, very happy. I've actually started a program, and I didn't know about this one, in China in 7 cities. I'm trying to get the mayors of the 7 biggest cities in China to basically bring a showcase of not their build, just the artwork. I mean the renderings and their projects. They're building whole cities. Qingdao's built a 27-mile tunnel, a road, 27 miles, a bridge, 32 miles. And the imagination is unbelievable. So I'm trying to bring these cities to Las Vegas. See, we have no imagination either in Nevada. We see the big casino and we build a 4,000 room. The people who make the trip can't even believe what they see. But that's what I'd like to bring is as these 7 cities, showing the architectural and what you can do with a city. And I told one of the hearing a few weeks ago, we're not a city anymore of Las Vegas. We're almost a country. Let's look at ourselves as a country because we're competing against Macau. You know, and Macau, we can do this thing, but we have this imagination of building a, you know, spotly building. In China, if we build enough, almost build and they'll come, I think it'll work here, you know, at us there. Mostly when this new casino goes. This Malaysia casino is going to change everything for investment from overseas.
And maybe Chinese government, when they take back the operating rights in Macau, maybe Stephen and them will then start to pay attention to their casino here.
They don't. I've had so much dealings with Madame Wu Yi, the Chinese Prime Minister. You know, minister. She's retired, but she keeps me. That's the reason for the last 20 years. I've told MGM, I've told these other hotels, you're not going to have a casino. I'm actually the one that wrote the private investment for Macau. I couldn't tell that story for 10 years, but now I can. I got paid for that. It was very simple. I'm economic development director of Nevada. I'm in China and they say, can you tell us what to do? I wrote a little 10-page report and got $50,000. But knowing Chinese, you don't tell anybody for 5-10 years. We don't want the other people to know that some fellow from Las Vegas told us what we're doing. So we all know that. But this Macau thing is going to be, they got to be careful because they get too far.
It's going to expire soon, yeah. It's going to expire pretty soon.
Yeah. But of course, you got 2 billion people coming this near it, where we have a, you know. But we've got to be more creative. That's all. But the Asian community can be big help, but I think they get bumped just like I do. They try to do something, and I think it's a lot of glad handing and thank you for helping us, but we know what we're doing, and not a slightest idea. The last trade mission to China, the governor picked a school that he forgot to find out that the school isn't even licensed. It's a big school in Beijing, not even licensed. The trade people asked me, what's he doing over there? The school isn't licensed. I said, don't ask me.